NTA, you can't beat the reach.
This is the network service of the NTA.
Doctors or that are not married and they are doing these incredible.
Well, there's a mirage of things. So I think first of all we have to go back to writer. You are very well known for your teaching skills. Your students speak a whole lot about you.
Miss Nigeria competition.
And I said, let's pick them up, let's take them back to Nigeria and let's teach them a different kind of job.
A golden fish, it is said, has no hiding place. No matter how much it tries to swim right off, it always gets caught by the eye. That simply encapsulates my guest for today. She is the Hungarian of Idomaland. She is the first civil engineer in Benue State.
Mechanical.
She is the first of a whole lot of things, but permit me to bring her on board and we get to find out all the details about her as we take our chat. You're welcome, Chief.
Thank you so much. You're also a chief. I can see you there. It's Ohongaria Kidoma, the pride of the Idoma nation.
The pride of it, and you actually have made them pride.
Oh,
and before I get to talk about this pride you brought to the Idoma land, we'll take a break.
Thank you so much.
I don't think in gender boxes at all. I just get on with it.
A man that would dare to ask the wife, who do you think you are? That is a real man.
In fact, our husbands are our firstborns. The husband needs more attention than even the children.
It's not only about work, it's not only about family. They need to take the time to look after themselves, and we don't. We don't do that.
They took my money, I paid every fees. I never asked to be hoisted as a governor. I wanted to be allowed to go out there and contest for the position of governorship candidate first.
There's nothing greater than looking back and seeing that while you were aspiring, you were able to inspire others.
Empowered to women.
Yes.
We need to have more women, more multitaskers around Nigeria to get Nigeria working.
Definitely. The program is The Woman, and I just introduced you before the break to the Hungarian of Idomaland.
Thank you.
Now, let me even begin from when you were a child.
Okay.
A little bit told me that you have always been the first of everything. Your academics was an exceptional one too. Talk to me about it.
Whoa, it's a pleasure being with you today. I'm so highly delighted to be here. And I'm happy to speak to women and Nigeria generally. I'm the first daughter by name Ada. That's first daughter. And then I went in to read mechanical engineering. And as of the time I graduated, I became the first female mechanical engineer of the Benue State origin, both Tiv and Idoma. You talk about first, so we're talking of first. I also contested to be governor of Benue State in 2007.
That's the first.
First female gubernatorial aspirant. And then became the first female general manager of the Benue State Water Board.
A lot of firsts. I know
and
that.
Then, the grace of God, I became the first female mechanical managing director of any of the 12 river basins in Nigeria in the year 2011. You know, Nigerian river basins were formed in the year 1976. But after this formation, until 2011, no woman made it there. But I'm happy God used me to break that record.
All right.
So that's about the first for now.
I'm going to talk about all of that first,
Yeah.
one by one.
Okay.
But talking about mechanical engineering,
Yeah.
that's what you studied in the university. I'd like to start with that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a job even today women don't want to go into.
Perfect.
Why did you choose that?
Whoa, that is who I am. When I was growing up as a child, I discovered a lot of things that the African community would say, this is for women, this is for men. And so even I saw my junior brother doing some things that naturally would have been called naughty or like stubborn, but then he was being waved. Everything he does was okay because he was a man. Okay. So that made me feel like, let me try. What is it that is wrong with a woman's brain? Is there a malfunctioning in the woman's brain, or is it just a perception? Mm-hmm. And that inquiry took me off the line. When I was in secondary school, my Indian mathematics teacher said, you're so intelligent, but because you're a woman, you just have to be a medical doctor or a pharmacy. And I said, why can't I be an engineer? He said, no, because you're a woman. And so I said, no. Then I want to be the engineer so that I can see if the woman's brain is a little bit less than the man, then I will fail the engineering and I'll have it on record that the woman's brain is actually less than the man.
So now, as you talk about it, everybody wants to ask this question. Yeah. I better empty the question before they start attacking me.
Go ahead.
Did you find out the woman's brain, is it less?
Whoa. It's not less. I was in the same class with 17 young men. Mm-hmm. We took mechanical engineering course together, and we were only 2 female, and we came out in short. I can say the first 15 people, really? I was one of the first 15. Mm-hmm. So every other person that was even a male came behind us.
So in a way, your brain actually is better.
it's the women's brain. It's not actually less. Mm-hmm. It's just the whole humanity. Mm-hmm. We are one and equal in the brain. You know, the sex organ is different, just to complement ourselves, but the brain is one.
All right. Now, you told us earlier that you were the first gubernatorial aspirant, female aspirant in Benue State.
Yeah.
And not just that you attempted once, you did twice. I know you were there in 2015 as well.
2015. Then then it was quite. I was really out to get it then.
Okay. And I'm sure you're not going to give up.
By the grace of God, Buhari never gave up. I'm not going to give up.
Now, a lot of times women try out, these things for the sake of launching themselves. I've had a woman here who said, I did it once, I don't want to do it again.
Oh.
I'm wondering, why are you not giving up? Why are you, persistent on getting it? What do you think you have different that the men do not have?
Well, I feel that administration, if you check the domestic environment, you see that the woman is a better manager. She knows how to appropriate what is available. So in this very Nigeria we have now, with very little resources, you need a proper appropriation manager. And that is the reason why the woman must be totally utilized in this present situation in Nigeria. I give you a practical example. When the salary comes, the men are in charge, the money is still much. But towards the end of the month, you come to 18, 20 to 30th day of the month, the women become in charge. Because the little 10,000, the little 15,000 that is given to the woman have been kept well. And you see the man coming back, say, Mama,
and that's when they get very nice.
Anything there, can I have something? And they become very nice, and you help them with it. And the women are so kind. No matter whatever you had experienced at the beginning of the month when they had the surplus, when they come back at the end of the month, you're there for them. So at this period in this country, when the resources, we talk of the oil boom, it's no longer there. we need the woman to properly manage and administer the resources accordingly. That is why I keep trying. If I'm given the opportunity, that I will be able to put
What
properly.
would you say were reasons responsible for your not clinching it first, second time?
Well, several challenges. The challenges are from the religious background of the country. There's that societal belief that the woman is not supposed to be so exposed. So that runs a lot of negative impulse when you're saying you want to be a leader. And then the society as well, the traditional institution, you know, the traditional council, mostly from the north to the south, from the east to the west. You talk of the emirs, you talk of the obis, you talk of the onis, you talk of Totiv or Chidoma, whatever. The traditional council have carved itself over the years because then it needed masculine strength for wars, because then humanity was struggling to survive within themselves. But then those days are gone. We're no longer at a daily war within the closest community. And so now you need a brain. And that's where the woman comes in. So this challenge of the traditional councils, the challenge of the religion, the economic challenges, women are not that exposed to the kind of big money they use for campaigns. And then the most, I tell you, Elizabeth, the most challenging is the violence. And so you see a lot of violence. Each time they're shooting a gun, and you're like, oh, you know, so the woman gets tested because she's having the challenge of the womanhood in her and the violence that we see in our day-to-day campaigns. So that's, apart from religion, tradition, we talk of economic, the next and the most challenging is the violence, you know. So we pray that the security system will continue to protect the woman so that we can clinch it at our next touch. I'm sure you, after NTA, you're going to do something like that because you see.
Oh my God. We don't know about that yet.
No problem. It's coming up.
Now, I'm wondering, a lot of times women climb the ladder, you know, and there seem to be the solo, you know, climbers at the time. We don't seem to carry each other along, unlike the men. Have you had this being mentioned in your corridors, and what are you doing about it?
Well, for me, I will differ a little for my person, because I've gotten all my training with a male counterpart. As a young girl, I was a science student, so I interacted strictly with the male counterparts of my own time in the secondary school. When I was in the university, as I earlier said, we had about 70 male students, with 2 of us as the female students. So over the years, then I went to commercial pilot school in Zaria, and I was the only female commercial pilot student then. So over the years, I've actually related with men. So I've actually gone into networking, because it's only about networking. The problem a lot of women have is because of the secretive nature of a woman, she wants to keep her problem to herself. You discover that when a woman is in the office, or she's having a political appointment and she's having a challenge, you know, she finds it very hard to let this person know, because even at home, the husband give you a slap, you're not ready to tell your friend that. Of course, you don't want to. You just want to tell her the good part. So that actually affects the woman in position, making them solo in terms of the networking that should actually hold them together. It's not there, because most of the time they want to keep the problem to themselves. They feel shy about it. They feel somebody's going to laugh at them. But the men are not like that. They're going to go to the beer parlor, and they're going to go to a sitting joint. They're going to go to the prayer house, and they're like, oh boy, what happened? What did you do? You know what? See what this person is giving me trouble. I said, don't worry. I know this man who knows him. He's going to call him for you, and the problem gets solved.
Politics is one game that I'm not sure I have appetite for. And but I know that a lot of young people, long to be in it. But a lot of times they are misguided. What are you doing for mentorship for them?
Wow, thank you very much. I have a foundation called Ada Chenge Divine Foundation.
Oh, really?
It was launched in 2013. At that time, the Israeli ambassador as well as the Finland ambassador to Nigeria were all there. And our target, apart from women, we have the youth as part of our focus. We're looking at empowering the talented youths that have nobody to help them out. A lot of people, a lot of young men and women have invented a lot of things in school. Most of the school projects are lying back in the university because there's no interface between the entrepreneur, between the industrialized countries as well as our desire to industrialize our nation to these projects that these talented youths have invented. So we're interfacing on that. I go from school to school to talk to the female students and tell them, if I could become a mechanical engineer as far back as 2 decades back, you can do better than I did, and you're not less than anybody. The young lady that is married to my own son is a girl who took me as a role model because I actually go down there to reach out to this young people.
Don't tell me you were doing matchmaking.
No, I never even knew about it. She had a private desire to be like me, you know. So I tell you, I'm doing a lot in that aspect. So many of the young people, especially the young ladies, are not able to go into the core engineering because they're not seeing the industries that will employ them, that will give them the quick cash that is needed to put the food on the table. So you talk of the makeup artist, it just comes and make you up, and she's sure of going home with what can put food in her on her table. So the incentive of what comes after NYIC, you know, I discover in Nigeria, our children go back home after NYC, you know, after the National Youth Service Corps. They don't actually get where to, especially those who read engineering. When you read engineering, you need mega company to take you in, unless you want to just work and wait for yourself to grow in the civil service. I started in the private sector, you know, before I turned into government.
I'm just wondering, you, mechanical engineer, it would have been nice to park my car and have you fix it for me.
Did you? Oh my God. I worked first at Benway Links, Nigerian Limited, Benway Links, where I was dropping both the light vehicle engines and the heavy duty engines. But from the time I was studying in the university, I started with Benway Links. So I know as simple as the nuts and how to bring down the engine and how to go under the engine and drain the oil and those things, you know. And then I worked in technical.
You changing tire won't be a problem.
No, it's not a problem. It's just patient. Oh my God! But you have your jack.
Sometimes they get stolen.
No, a lot of when you design to be a woman, you know, you just have to be portable and fine. For some of us are designed to walk along with the men. So from childhood, we try to be a little bit strong enough to do one or two things. By the grace of God, when I was in the university, I had already married. I actually married. I took jam in my father's house. And then the jam result came out in my husband's house. And so 100 level, I was with my first baby. So by the time I was 500 level, I had 4.
Oh.
So I was keeping the home front. I didn't want him to feel my wife is going to school. And because of that, I can't have my babies. So God gave me the grace to keep the home front and my academics. And I tell you, I came out with very good grades.
Beautiful.
You know, I have this basic principle of life. You walk as if all depends on work. And then pray as if all depends on prayer. When I'm praying to God, you can see, when I'm praying to God, I forget that I have any potential within me. I forget that somebody on earth is there to help me. I pray as if without God, I cannot move my leg. But when it's time to work, I work as if God is absent, you know. So when it's time for me to read, I sit up. While in the university, I tell you, my roommates, even when I'm heavily pregnant, will say, please wake me by 3 a.m. Please wake me by 2 a.m. because I'm seated.
You're the one waking them up.
Yes.
But they weren't pregnant.
Yes, they weren't.
Interesting.
But all is the policy, the principle in life. I made it up that work as if all depends on work and pray as if all depends on prayer. So when I combined the two, in my final year, mechanical engineering, I had my fourth baby. And he's a young man. He's reading mechanical engineering too.
Oh, really?
Right now.
Interesting.
And when that particular year, if you check my results, they were only A's and B's. I did not even have a C for the final year because the pregnancy made me a little bit uncomfortable. I think God did that work. So I could not sleep. So because I could not sleep,
you vented the anger on your books.
Thank you.
All right. Now you say you pray like there's no tomorrow. You work like there's no yesterday or tomorrow. Now when you play too, how do you play? How do you unwind?
Oh yeah, I like my family. I'm most delighted when I sit around the TV screen with my kids, my husband, with me, and we're watching a program that cut across the interests of everybody.
NTA is celebrating 40 years as a national body, you know, one family, just like your family.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, when you were young, you watched NTA. What do you remember about NTA?
Whoa. The first thing you will know the television is on is that exactly dun, 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 you know, and then they say they're about to on now, they're about to on. We all wait for 4 p.m. Then they used to start 4 p.m. So when it's about 4 p.m., every child will like, the TV is about to on now, the TV is out. And then you on it and you wait and it's about 4 and it's about 4 and then you see this green, white, this rainbow colors just come up and then they start. And then you watch and watch and watch and then so for some of us that also read, you'll be reading and watching and then 12 midnight and then they like after singing the national anthem
it goes
and then
what was your favorite program?
As a young child, I actually loved a lot of Tales by Moonlight. And then there was this We Are the Famous Five.
Famous Five, yeah.
Famous Five, you know.
You will like it because it's macho.
Yeah. We are the Famous Five, you know. So they all those children always doing some funny things, doing some adventures, jumping up and down, you know.
Yeah, you did.
I always look forward to yes.
All right, it's been wonderful having you on the show.
Thank you so
But just
much.
before we go, I want to know, how did you manage campaign?
Okay.
Well, you know, campaign is one thing that is filled with a whole lot of things. I don't want to start naming them, but I'm wondering, a woman doing campaign, for gubernatorial seats. It was hard, I'm sure. How did you manage it?
It was quite rigorous. Sometimes we could be out till 2 a.m., even 3 a.m. Sometimes you don't even catch a sleep. You just know that, okay, the night have just passed by. It's morning. You just know it. It was quite rigorous. But all the same, we prayers. The areas of violence, as I mentioned earlier, wasn't that funny. There was a time they had to have a shootout, you know, with my campaign. But thanks to the Nigerian police, they were there and they shielded us, and we were safe.
You will continue to be safe.
Thank you.
And do wonderful things.
Thank
and
you.
Represent women.
Women.
Okay.
Well, I know that
so
I will pray seriously, and I'm working seriously, that Nigerian men will realize, hey, it's high time 2-3 women should man 2-3 states. And let's take a sample. Why must we always do the same thing? 36 states from 1960, you need a woman. 2-3 women, take a sample. Don't be afraid of taking a sample. When they don't do it well, you said that 2023 women, you were so poor, we're not giving you again. Take back your thing. You know, but then don't just keep being scared of them failing.
All right, don't worry. We'll get there.
Yeah.
They don't need to give it to us. We're going to take it because we control the population.
Yeah,
remember?
I like that.
All right, thank you so much for coming. And it's been a wonderful chat with the first of a lot of firsts, like I like to describe her, the woman who's turned around a lot of stake areas in Benue State and still doing more, not just for Benue, but for Nigeria. It's the woman, and we just love you being with us, because if you are with a woman, then you get real fed. Stay on and see you again some other time.
Doctors or that are not married, and they are doing this incredible.
Well, there's a myriad of things. So I think first of all we have to go back to
the writer. You are very well known for your teaching skills. Your students speak a whole lot about you.
Miss Nigeria competition.
And I said, you know, let's pick them up, let's take them back to Nigeria, and let's teach them a different kind of job.
This is NTA Network News.